Hello everyone and welcome back to another Project Ascension Hub video. My name is Halen and today we're going to talk about what to do once you reach max level. Before I get into that information, I do want to highlight a couple things. First, Ascension is based on one of the most popular MMORPGs that exists out there. And there are plenty of things to do in the World of Warcraft. By no means is this a list of things that must be done or should be done in a certain order. These are just things that most players want to do, and those are getting better gear, and in the case of Ascension, dealing with the seasonal mechanic of wildcard, getting your reroll scrolls, your skill cards, all those things that drive the build crafting part of Ascension. Whatever it is that you like to do in Ascension, a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about today provides you with the means to do more of that, or to make your character more powerful to do those things. And the second thing, this video is intended for beginners. I try to hit on the most basic and the fundamentals of the game so that players are not lost and they can at least get their bearings whenever they're first diving into Ascension. Currently, the max level is level 60 on the seasonal server of Elune. However, I think the things we're going to talk about today will also be relevant once we increase the cap to level 70 in the Burning Crusade. Now, if you're watching this video and you're still leveling, let me give you one piece of advice. Do not sweat the leveling process or your build. Season 9 is all about taking this build and refining it slowly but surely and seeing where it ends up. Ascension does provide us some other mechanics and things that we can take advantage of in order to pretty much reset and go again. And we will talk about that more later. Now let's get to the point where you are leveled up. You just hit level 60 or level 70. At your next available opportunity, go ahead and get back to whatever the most convenient capital city is for your faction. That could be Orgrimmar for Horde or Stormwind for Alliance. And once in your capital city of choice, we're going to find the Callboard. The quests here are repeatable. Normally they're referred to as dailies if you can do them on a daily basis, or they give you new ones every single day, or weeklies. And of course that's the same thing as dailies, but on a weekly basis. Another thing about the daily quests is that they will stack up. In other words, if you don't do the quest one day, the next day you can do 2 of them and 3 of them, and it will stack up to 7. The number of times you can complete a daily quest is seen here on the right hand side in the little circle. Completing Callboard quests can give you a number of rewards, sometimes honor in the case of PvP, but the main rewards we're focused on right now are the Marks of Ascension and the Callboard caches. The Callboard caches will give us gear upgrades up to 1 tier lower than the current raid tier of the server. That means if the current raid tier is tier 2, then we can receive up to tier 1 raid gear from these caches. And this will be a normal difficulty item level. For the higher item levels, you'll of course need to go complete those activities. There is some scaling, so you will not start receiving that level of gear from the first caches you open. But as you equip higher and higher item levels, you will see that the threshold for those drops will increase as well. The gear itself is randomized, so you won't always get something useful, but you can keep them in your bank if you think you may play a specialization or a build that would use it one day. There's also a chance to get a bonus Callboard cache when opening up a normal one. These will contain Scrolls of Fortune and card packs. The other reward, Marks of Ascension, we will use those at Silas or his friend Burth. These NPCs will exchange Marks of Ascension for Scrolls of Fortune, which will allow us to reroll our talents and abilities, as well as card packs. Now we'll come back to our friends Silas and Burth later. Let's finish up talking about the Callboard daily quests. These are my favorite daily quests to make sure that I do and don't let them cap out at 7 repeats. The other quests in the weeklies, what I like to do is just do them on an opportunistic basis. If you happen to be doing the activity or you have the items, then you should do them. Or if you've exhausted all the dailies or the easy quests, then I think it's still efficient to spend your time working towards those weekly quests. Every day on the Callboard, there will be a set of PvE quests that all take place in the same zone. You want to pick up all of these quests and then proceed to the zone and complete as many as you can. These quests are fairly easy to do, and usually there are a number of players in the zone doing them, so it's easy to group up or just tag mobs as people are also taking them down and you will get credit for them. While you're questing in the area, some players may have placed down a portable Callboard. This is a vanity item from the cash shop. So if you've already completed a quest and you can turn it in multiple times, go ahead and make use of that Callboard, and that will save you a trip back to the capital city. If you enjoy PvP, then I highly recommend completing these as well. But if not, you can at least take up the duel daily, which most people will sit at the entrance of the capital city, usually the main ones like Stormwind and Orgrimmar, and simply start and end a duel just to complete the daily quest. And if you are a PvP player, it's good to note that the caches from the PvP quests will drop as Bloodforge, meaning they have PvP power on it, as opposed to PvE power. Now, the Profession Daily quests, these are ones that you do want to keep an eye on. Whenever you see that the items required for the quest are something that you yourself can maybe farm or get easily, or maybe you have them in your bank or other storage, that's whenever you want to complete as many of those quests as possible. You want to get this down to 0 repeatable, because you don't want to be in a position where you feel like you need to complete this quest, or you don't want to waste the daily charges and it's an item that's really hard to get or it's expensive to buy. In general, whenever an item is required for these daily quests, that item will be very expensive on the auction house. This is a good time to also bring up another feature of the Callboard, which is the option to complete the quest with Bazaar tokens or gold. If people are trying to sell the items for more than it would cost you just to click on the gold button on the Callboard, then do that. Also, earlier in the season, I don't think it's the case right now, at least not when I checked, but the Bazaar token option may be cheaper than either of the other two. So you can check the exchange rate of gold to Bazaar token and see which one is your best option. Now, once we've done all the Callboard dailies that we can stand, we're going to take our pile of Marks of Ascension and talk to Silas or Burth. First of all, if you haven't picked up the Scrolls of Fortune that you get from leveling, go ahead and do that. And then you'll see that it changes to a turn-in starting at 1,000 Marks of Ascension. Each time you complete this turn-in, the cost will go up and eventually cap out at 3,000 marks. Every time you turn in, you'll get Scrolls of Fortune for both abilities and talents, and you'll also receive a talent and ability card pack. Now, when it comes to spending your Marks of Ascension at Silas, I do recommend spending at least up to the cap of 3,000. If you know you like where your build is going or want to stick with it and keep refining, then you can keep buying after the cap. I recommend first opening up all of your card packs before using your rerolls. As a new player, you have most likely not made use of the skill cards system. If you press the N key, which is your character advancement window, the next tab over will be skill cards. At the top, you have tabs for ability skill cards and talent skill cards. Thanks to changes in Chapter 2, you can now slot in cards at any time. That means even though you're level 60, you could slot in some cards from all those packs you opened from Silas. And the next time you reroll an ability, it will give you one of the cards that you put in the ability slots. Or if you reroll a talent, it will give you one of the talent cards. And this is why I recommend opening up your card packs first, because you now have the knowledge, or you now know that you have certain cards that can help your build go in a certain direction. There's really no hurry to use these card slots. As I said, with Chapter 2, we can put cards in at any point in time. But once a card has been triggered or used in that slot, you can no longer use it for the specialization until you do something called Prestige, which we will talk about at a later time. So now that you've opened up all your card packs, you know if you have some really good cards that you may be able to make use of. And while doing your rerolls, you can know to keep certain talents or abilities that pop up that may have some synergy with the cards that you've opened. For more information about re-rolling talents and abilities, check out my other video on synergy rolls and some basic wildcard logic. The Callboard quests and Silas turn-ins are one of the easiest and usually the main source of rerolls and cards for most players. But you also get more from just playing the game, like raiding or even farming high risk. I do want to bring up one other activity, and this one is something that you may or may not want to do depending on what kind of build you're doing, but that is Manastorm. Manastorms can be a very good source of Scrolls of Fortune and card packs, especially whenever it's your first time completing certain levels of the Manastorm. So if it's something that you've already tried out because you have access to it from the leveling process and you know you like it, then go push as far as you can in the Manastorm and get those first time rewards, and you'll get those doing them as a solo, in duo, in trio, and in groups larger than 3. Personally, I go to the Callboard first and then I would do Manastorm, but of course you can do whatever you like the most. So a quick recap of what we've covered today and an overview of what to do after hitting max level. You've completed all the PvE, PvP, and Profession Callboard quests that you want. You've opened all the Callboard caches for better gear, Scrolls of Fortune, and card packs. You've done any Manastorm levels for the first time completion rewards if that's something you want to do. You've turned in your Marks of Ascension to Silas for a large number of reroll scrolls and card packs. You've opened all of your card packs to see what you have available. You've used your Scrolls of Fortune to reroll away your least favorite, least synergistic talents and abilities, keeping in mind the cards you have for your build's direction. With your last rerolls, you can use them to activate any skill cards that you've opened that you want for your build. If you like where your build is going, you now know the routine of getting Marks of Ascension, turning them in for rerolls and skill cards from Silas, and this is the continual process of refining your build and getting stronger and better as the season goes forward. Let's say you don't like where your build is going, or you just want to make a different build for whatever reason. Ascension has a prestige feature, which allows you to restart one of your character's specializations from level 1, retaining all of your items and other progress, but resetting your quest progress and all the talents and abilities you've rolled. Unfortunately, we don't have time in this video to go into detail about prestige, but you can talk to Chromie by our new BFF the Callboard in any capital city to learn more. Now that you have a decent card collection and have probably seen more talent and ability combinations from doing all of your rerolls, you could prestige with a more planned out build or direction. You can also get more Marks of Ascension from completing the Prestige Daily, and prestiging will also make the cost of those turn-ins at Silas go back to the original cost of 1,000 marks. Now, if you want to keep your build and experiment with another, or prestige for the rewards and trials, then look at getting a second specialization. This can be bought from the Ascension store, the auction house, or Nosdormu, which is also next to the Callboard for 1,000 gold if this is cheaper than the previous 2 options. Or, my preference is to buy it from the PvP vendor for honor. Even if you don't like PvP, this is somewhat easy to do and doesn't really cost you anything and requires you to queue up for some battlegrounds and complete some Callboard dailies. Hopefully this advice has helped you gear up and improve your build so you can spend more time doing other activities you want to do. Ascension has many in-game activities such as raiding, PvP, dungeons to include pushing Mythic plus keys or levels, pushing your Manastorm levels, crafting and farming items, and whatever else this World of Warcraft has to offer. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below on what you like to do whenever you hit max level. Again, I am Halen, this is the Project Ascension Hub, and I'll see you in the next one.